Oh, welcome to part 3 of this BC3300 repair. We're going to start off by cleaning this gunk off of, so just using 91% alcohol here. You get the, I like to clean it off. I mean, you don't really have to, but it could be conductive. I'm not sure. It's those polypropylene capacitors when they explode, or just when it disassembles or blows up, or yeah, makes it kind of nasty. So I don't know if this stuff's actually conductive enough or not, but I like it to not be in there. So I did talk to Doug, or I emailed him, and did find out that this battery charger had been repaired before. The previous owner attempted to repair it, and got a few years out of it before it died again. So this time we'll fix it, and hopefully we'll get another 20 years out of it. According to the date codes on here, this was designed on February 20th of 1995, so it is almost exactly 20 years old. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Yeah, good enough. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and replace this cap board. It's not, well, it could be repaired. If we really wanted to, we'd go in there and we'd have to take the caps out, and they're glued in, and oh, that's what the person who repaired it before put all these arrows and stuff on there. I'm not quite sure. Maybe they were trying to track ones that they fixed up or something, and that's why the caps were different color. Normally they're all blue, and this one has pink ones because this one and this one have been repaired, and you can kind of tell that by looking at the flux that wasn't cleaned off. See, this is the one that's repaired, and it's got the circle ones on there. But yeah, we're not going to clean this up. We're not going to use it. We are going to take all these parts off because we need all that, and I'll show you. I've repaired enough of these that they all pretty much came in with bad cap boards, and this one's not too bad. Some of them are really bad, like, you know, they've obviously been on fire at some point when caps have exploded and they're all bloated and everything. So way back when, I went and took all the parts off of a board like this, and then I marked it all up, and you can see on this side here I've got all that. I mapped it all out, and I essentially reverse engineered the board. It's pretty simple, just measuring the gaps and just recreated it. And then these are all of my little markings. You know, this is 15.9 millimeters by 10.9 millimeters, you know. And this is the whole size, is 42.6. These must be, yeah, it's a lot bigger than 42 millimeters. Maybe they're mils. But anyways, I ended up making this about 4 years ago, and this is what I ended up with. So look similar. So if I line them up here, they should be an exact copy. You can line them up, and all the holes line up. It's always nice when you get board back and everything works out nice. But one of the things I did differently is I believe this is a 4-ounce copper board, and when I redid it, I made it an 8-ounce copper board. That just gives it better heat sinking, gives it more material for these vias or pads for holding the capacitors in. And yeah, I ended up just making my own version of it back in 2011. So It's 2015 now, so it's 4 years old. What you end up with after you populate it is this. So we're obviously missing the pulse transformers and these little blocks, I don't know what you would call those. And everything's soldered up. One thing I do when I soldered them is I bent the pins over to give it more structural, you know, so it doesn't fall through. Like these, they kind of, thermal expansion causes them to pull out over time, and then it develops, and then it cracks, and then it starts arcing. Whereas on here, I bent the pins over, hoping that would help prevent that from happening. Jury's still out. Of all the ones that I fixed, I haven't had any of them come back, so that should be good. And then, of course, we have the polypropylene caps on here, just like the other ones. And so what we're going to do is take all this stuff off, transfer it onto here. That'll be next. Okay, we're going to start transferring everything from this board to this board. First things first, we need to get these, I need to cut all these zip ties. I don't really care if we mess up the board, because we're not going to use it. I just don't want to cut any of the pulse transformers. Now, they make these pulse transformers, it looks like they just take a ferrite core and wrap 2 ribbon cables around them. And that's how they make them. So, with all of those guys free, we want to put them in roughly, well, exactly the same spot if possible. So, I want to keep them the same here. Oh, that came with them. All right, that'll work. So like so. They're slightly snug fit. I mean, they're loose. They're not super snug or anything, but they'll kind of stay in there. Make sure everything's good, and then we're going to zip tie them in. So let me go grab some zip ties. Okay, magically zip ties have appeared. And there's kind of a trick to this. I always try to... Okay, so you want to end up with this part on the bottom, like this. Alright? So in order to do that, you have to put it through this way, then come back up through. Like this. Okay, so there's one. I'll get the other one in here. So, same thing. We go down this way, up this way, and if you get them in backwards, then it won't go back together, because it's pretty tight clearance between this and the next board that sits below it, so you end up getting, you get to where you put it all back and realize, it doesn't fit, and then you have to take it apart and try it again. Okay, I'm not tightening them super tight yet. I just want to get all 3 transformers secured. This guy down in here is always a pain. But we want to do the same thing. We want to end up with this like that. So we're going to have to come, you go down like that. Yeah. It's one of those three-dimensional kind of puzzles. And then back through the center of it. There you go. And then we're going to try to not catch any of the wires. Okay, that's what we want. So, go ahead and do that, and then we gotta get these other ones in here. See, I did it backwards. I gotta go this way, yeah. Same thing, this way, yeah. Trust me, it's harder than it looks. No, that's actually pretty simple. Once you get the first one in, you know which way they need to go. Okay, make sure we're not pinching any wires, everything looks good. Can we still get in here? Oh, that guy got, he got a little cocked up in there. Let's just push him down. Push him in there, and he's good now. So these can still come in through here because I got to get through. So yeah, that'll work. Yep, that'll work. So you just go ahead and tighten them up. And then let's give them one extra click. And then trim them off. Good to go. Go right away. 2 zip ties to spare. Okay, now all we need is these little guys right here. So our 5.5 millimeter socket will take care of them. Okay, and that is going to get thrown away. Actually put over on the shelf of other miscellaneous components that I've taken out of things. Okay, gotta put these guys back on. Now, once you don't want to tighten them yet. You just want them to get snug, because I'll show you here in a second once I get it on here. Oh, almost lost that. There you go. There's a lot of play in these, and there's play forward, back, left, and right. So if I leave them loose, you can see we've got a lot that way, a lot up and down, you can go diagonal, you know, all kinds of ways. So what we want to do is get them to where we're just barely snug to where we can still move them around enough. See, I can still move it. Because what we're going to do is put these guys on, and then we're going to kind of halfway assemble it so that we can get it lined up with this board, because that's what those touch. Well, actually it goes this way, but you get the point. So it doesn't do good to have it matched up to that, but then not be lined up with that, with these guys on the top, on the next board up. So we have to put them kind of together. You don't have to put them all the way together, but it definitely helps. You don't want to have, since it's so hard to get to this cap board, since it's on the very bottom, it takes so long. You don't want to mess it up, only to find out it's off enough that you can't get the screw in there, and then you'll have to take the whole thing apart anyway. So this way we can kind of temporarily put it together. So again, I don't want it super snug. I want it to where it can move around. Yeah. Because we want it to be able to move, so we can get it all lined up, get everything in the right area, and then go ahead and tighten everything up. I'll do that. So I'm going to go get that the base back on here, so I'll be back. Okay, we got the base back. We're going to put some hardware back on here. You can see I like to keep everything in this little box. That is all the hardware that's come off. There's a lot of parts involved, a lot of assembly. Now I'm just going to put, these are the ceramic washers. They go on the four corners here. I'm just going to put those in for spacing. We need the spacing between this board and next. We're going to take this guy and we're just going to set it on there, like so. So that's on there nice and good. And that allows this to get set up. We need to put these spacers in. So we'll do these 4 spacers. And of course, remember I said about the, what am I hitting? What is going on? Why is that not going all the way down? Oh, I see. We're hitting right here. There. Now we're all the way down. Yeah, that shouldn't rock. That should be nice and solid. Okay, let's get those guys screwed down finger tight, and then we'll put the next board on. And that goes here. And I am actually going to screw it in, but just kind of temporarily, so we can get, we just want to get this side lined up. So I'll just go ahead and put so I'm not going to tighten these all the way either, because it's kind of, you want to have everybody pulled together correctly, get it all lined up, and then we can go and tighten everything up, take it all apart, tighten it all up. So I'll just put these 3 in here. Again, just barely snug, so that if you know, we're out of room there, we can move this. We know these ones are fixed. Those are where they're supposed to be. So we can take this, stick it in here, and then somewhere in here should be, yep, there we go. Should be this screw or bolt. same thing, we're just going to snug it in. Okay, so you got that snug. I'm going to grab the long bolts, long one. We need 4 of the long ones. Which I can't seem to find. Oh, there's one. There's the other one. Okay. So, got all these guys. I'm going to go ahead and stick these in. And now with that snug at the bottom, snug at the top, this whole thing's snug, we should be able to line everything up perfectly so you don't have to take it apart again. So we're going to run these in. That'll line the 2 that are loose down there. I probably should have moved over, you can't see, but when I did that it pulled the block to the board to nicely seat it. Okay, so these should be where they need to be now. So now after all that, we can take it apart. So everything's all nice and tight. We can make sure everything's good. It's all nice and snug, you know. So we're gonna go ahead and take everything out. Go ahead and take these guys out first. Okay, got all those off. So I don't have the other board in there, so I can actually slide this out this way, right? So we'll go ahead and set that aside again. Remember, this is the board with the little pins on it, so you gotta be very careful that you don't damage those. So we're gonna leave this on here because that's what's keeping us lined up so that we can tighten it. But we can undo this. Take this guy out. And then we can take these off. And now we can very carefully lift this up. And we should be able to pop it over the edge here. Maybe. Oh, well, you know what? I thought I'd done it that way before, but apparently not. Huh. Alright, well, you will have to take these out. Just be really careful then. I wonder how I did that before. Oh, I know, I know what I do. I take this off. Yeah. I take this off. Because, yeah, it won't let you take that out because this hits the bottom of the rectifier diodes. So we're going to very carefully pick this up, alright, turn it over, and then screw this back in. Because that is at the correct spot that we want. And then we'll be able to tighten them completely on the bottom. we don't want them to rotate. So we make that nice and tight. And then we go this way. And we can't get to the inner ones, but we get to the outer ones. And we'll go ahead and tighten that up nice and good. And tighten his other buddy up nice and good. Then we can take this off. And then we just gotta tighten up the middle ones here. And then we are good to go. So let's do this. So they're nice and tight, and we're now good. This board is now ready to be used. Draw that. Okay, so the next step is to actually install it, and this is probably where you want to fast forward because it's going to take a while here. Put all this back in. So I would edit it all out, but it takes so long to edit stuff that. Plus, I don't know, maybe somebody wants to see me put it all together, I don't know. Enjoy my pain when the one gets stuck underneath there and I can't get it. So we want all of the little spacers. We already have the ceramic ones in, and we want all of the ones that have the nut on them still. That went all the way through. So we want all of them. And another one. Got everybody. And we got the one that's damaged. I'm gonna replace that. That bolt is messed up. It got. There was some arcing that happened to it. Is this not in good shape at all? Oops, not even on camera. I probably can't tell, but the threads are all boogered up on it. It's definitely, like, you can't even get the nut on. Yeah, that one I'm gonna replace. Okay, so that should be most of everything here. Okay, the pain that is putting this back together. Okay. Whoever came up with this design, I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about it, because it is actually a good design. It's a good battery charger. I mean, 20 years after it's been made, it's still going strong. You know, a little bit of maintenance on it, replacing a few caps here and there, and she's back up and running. But yeah, can't imagine they paid people to assemble this. Let's see. Not rocking, good. That connector's in all the way. Go ahead and, you know, I'm not gonna jinx myself. You know, I'm not gonna plug those in until I have it all screwed in, because sometimes you have to take it apart, and these are kind of flimsy. I might plug this one in because it's kind of, I think it'll be okay. But yeah. Now I always forget which ones go where, but we'll start with I'll get these in there just in case I bump it. Now every single bolt in here needs to have a washer on it, except for the standoffs. And so you see I've just kind of thrown them in here willy-nilly, but they do have, I mean, if you look at it's washer, bolt, washer, nut. And all of these standoffs are live, except for these ones, the big standoffs are, that's just chassis ground, but it actually does pass it through to the next stage. But on my board, I labeled it so you see the plus and minus for the different sides. Paid the extra money for the silk screen.